Coming to you from the M&M Exterior Studio in Knoxville, Virginia, this is Flushing It Out with Samantha Spittle, the introvert's extrovert. She talks to people so you don't have to. For now.
So what did you think?
It was fun.
We did it.
I just want to say, Kristy, great job. You were great.
Good job. See, he already learned something.
Yeah.
He's a good man. He knows. He listens.
What's funny is I'm actually not words of affirmation. It's all the way down at the bottom for me. That was just a typical red needs to
Made for good radio.
Yeah, made for good radio. Yeah, it's actually not. And like, so I have to do it. It's so funny. I have to do a talk. I'm preaching on Sunday tomorrow at church.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, so, I had sent in what I was going to talk about to the church, and I'm like, oh, here's what I'm going to talk about, Suzanne, blah blah blah, and she's like, that's amazing. I said, listen, don't tell me it's amazing. Tell me how I can fix it. So for me, I'm such a perfectionist. So if I'm training on stage, when I come off stage, the guy that usually gets me all mic'd up and ready to go, and he's like, that was amazing. You were on point. I know I'm good. Tell me what I can do better. Like for me, that's where I live. Isn't that weird? The affirmations are like, oh, don't tell me that stuff. Now, if it was absolutely perfect, it could never be better. There was nothing. And that's what she said. She emailed me back. She goes, Kristy, there isn't anything I would fix. And I was like, dang it. Like it almost made me mad because I want to get better.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
What is your favorite? So you mentioned like Myers-Briggs, there's the DISC, there's the colors. What's your go-to personality? Because when I was doing Mary Kay, I did DISC a lot. And so that's kind of how my brain naturally, but I did Myers-Briggs when I was in middle school. And, so I've always loved the personalities and kind of the way I work and and that's why I'm so grateful that in 8th grade, I did the test with my family, because it kind of started leading me down the path of, oh, we're all different. And
that's on purpose.
Yes, exactly. and the beauty that can come, like I said, of the working together. So what's your, I guess you could say, default personality that you use? And then in case anyone listening hasn't had experience with it, could you do like a quick recap of them?
The different personality. Oh yeah. There's two that I use. The first one I use is just in interpersonal relationships, which is the 5 love languages, which I think most people at this point have heard of. Yep. If you haven't, it's a free online quiz. Go to 5 love languages and you can actually take it right online. It's really great. So I think, spiritually, I really look to that. For my marriage, I really looked to that. Yes. That was my first kind of experience and exposure to that. The second one I use for business a lot is Strength Finders 2.0. If you've never heard of that, it's kind of an online questionnaire, and it really kind of helps you see where you thrive best, what motivates you, what will slow you down. What I love is that I have my leaders and team members and things do those so that I can see how to best speak to them and utilize them. But in my everyday life, and I don't even know what the name of it is, there's one it's just 4 color quadrants, and it's not DISC, it's something else. And I wish I knew the name of it. I don't. It was given to me and handed down and like copied and recopied, but it's been one of my favorites, and I do have access to it. So if any of your listeners want it, I'd be happy to send it to you.
And we can post it on the Facebook group.
Oh, great. Yep. I'll send you the little quiz and how it works, but it's really like red, yellow, blue, green.
Okay.
And red is the strong, yellow is the soft, blue is the fun, green is the details.
Okay.
That for a quick nutshell of how it works.
Say it one more time.
Oh, red is the strong.
So red is strong.
The strong. Blue is the fun.
Blue fun.
Yellow is the nurturer, and green is the details.
Okay. Yellow nurture, green details.
Yeah. So, and that one's, I like things that are easy to remember. So I think about what's the one, Samantha, with all the letters? Like you're an INGLOP.
That's Myers-Briggs. Yeah.
Okay. I can't do that because I'm not a detail girl.
Yes. It's too many letters.
It's too many letters, and the letters don't mean anything to me.
Yes.
So I need something simple, 4 or 5 that I can quickly just bounce right back off of.
Yes.
Because I don't like details. So that green part that I just talked about, I'm really low on that one.
Yes.
I'm a big picture girl. So I just need something quick and easy that I can refer to, that I can quickly just make a decision off of. So those are the ones I kind of use for the most part.
Yeah. DISC is kind of mine, and it's the same thing.
It mimics that one.
Yeah.
The color ones I was talking about, it mimics DISC, but it's just slightly different.
Yeah, a little different. Myers-Briggs, like I said, I liked it. And if someone detail-oriented is doing it and talking about it, then I love it, because I love the details, but I don't have high enough detail part of my personality to want to really dig into it too much.
There's a great book that I read from a guy. His name is Logan Stout, and it's called Stout Advice. It's one. I love short books again because I don't like details. It's one of those you can knock it out in like an hour.
Awesome.
Maybe 2. And it really talks a lot about those 4 things. And that's where I kind of started getting some of that information from. So that's a really great one for business and just some great advice on how to run a business and interpersonally how to run a business. Yeah, it's so funny. I walked into a room. I have to tell you the story. I walked into a room. I'm going to leave all the names out.
That way we can use it.
Oh, yeah. I walked into a room and it was a couple hundred people and I didn't know anybody but one person. Okay. But I needed to be at this specific place. And so I walk in and there's all these people and they don't know who I am at all yet. They're about to find out, but they don't know yet. So I walk in and I'm looking around and I can kind of see the reds in the room just by the way they dress. And so I went up to one of them thinking, okay, I'm going to make my connection here. Right. And so I go up to her and I start talking to her for a minute. Within the first 5 minutes, she was telling me how much money she makes, how much stuff she sells, how much like her title and her this and her that. And I'm thinking, I didn't even ask those questions. And so now me knowing better was like, oh, she's a red. So I was like, why do you do this? And then she started talking about that. And then I spoke to that. And then, now I'm in. And so, it makes me crazy. I'm like, oh, why do people do that? Because they're red. Because they've got to show, they're going to give you their pedigree in their first 5 minutes.
So it's funny, similar story and a very educational moment for me. Right out of college, when I was doing Mary Kay in Jersey, we did like a practice interview to kind of, because I was learning about the personalities and how to talk to people and things like that. And so it was a woman that I knew, and it was like a true practice. Like it wasn't, but I thought if you if you asked me who I thought she was, I would have said, oh, she's like a mom. So she's loving and this and that. And so this is how you talk to her. So we did it. And so my friend who was, training me, she said to the woman, like, tell me about yourself. Because that's always the classic, like, tell me about yourself. And what they choose to tell you often is insightful. Right. And she went, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And so when we left, she said, so what do you think she was? And I was like, well, I'm thinking, oh, she's a mom and, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and she's like, no, like, do you see, like, right away she started saying all the things she's accomplished. And I'm like, that was another mind-blowing thing where I was like, oh, I was looking at like the outside of, homemaker and this and that.
And people tell you who they are, believe them the first time.
Yes.
Believe them the first time.
It's so interesting.
And I love the reds because they'll show their cards immediately. I was at a rodeo kind of thing when I was out in Texas and ran into somebody that I knew who was kind of a bigwig in my industry, in a different company, but in my industry. And I sat down next to her and I remember we're all eating like we call them rodeo potatoes in Texas. Oh. They're like potatoes with barbecued pork and stuff in the middle and you lit it up. Anyway, delicious. The rodeo potatoes are amazing. So I was there and I sit down kind of at the table next to her and I'm like, hey, I'm Kristy. I don't know if you remember me or not. And, shook her hand and she was like, oh my gosh. And within the first like 45 seconds, she was utilizing her pedigree to talk to me.
Do you think because you are a red, other reds respond to you like that?
No, sometimes, but these people didn't know that I was those things. Okay. And they don't know they're not looking for that. They're going to do that to anybody because they've got to show their dominance. And it's not sometimes it's in an insecure way. And sometimes it's just a default that's where they live. Yeah. And I was just like, I really don't care that you're like, that's not really what I wanted to know about you. But that was before I knew all of that. And so once I figured that out, I was like, oh, she's trying to show me who she is. She just doesn't know how to do it. So then I start speaking to their mission and that gets their heart turned the right way. And then I can hear them and what they're after.
Because you need to hear that.
I need to hear that so I know how to connect. Because I'm a red, or I'm strong, and I'm confident, and I'm going to take charge of the room. But I can't do that against another one that doesn't know how to do it. So I'm like, I got to go around. It's like I got to go around the side door. Does that make sense? Interesting. Yeah, I got to go around the side door. I'm like, no, I got to get them to buy in that I'm on the same page as them, that we're after the same thing. Not competitively, but, we're on the same mission.
Can you explain that a little more? Because I'm still processing it. So I want to hear. I want to hear just more about it. So because it makes sense to me, but I'm still processing it.
Okay. So with the first example I gave you, I'm like, well, why do you do this? And she started telling me why she does this. Yeah. And so again, it was kind of money focused for a minute. I'm like, and what's your favorite part about it? Like, as far as, the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
And then she started talking about that. Then I started speaking to that. So I was like, oh, well, tell me more about that. And there were some fundraising parts of it. And there were some, whatever, put some recognition on certain areas of people's lives that need to be brought to life.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
we were talking about health, and like, she's like, I really want to put the magnifying glass on this because people really need to know this is a problem. And I was like, oh, tell me more about that. And where did you find that information? And, how, so as I started talking about what was important to her and not just the money, the title, that kind of thing, I started to get to know who she was underneath all of that.
What's your second behind red?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, blue. I'm fun, friends. Yeah. It's like all about, if it's fun and friends are involved, I'm in.
You're in. Yeah.
I'm all in. So I always say I'm purple.
Yeah, that
like
makes sense.
literally ride the line between the two. So if I do the little personality things, I'm literally red and blue, which is red type A, and blue fun, friends, time, travel, that kind of thing. I'm literally half and half.
So I'm like with DI, the DISC. Like I was always DI, but then if I'm around a D, then I'm I.
Yep.
And then vice versa. But I think the older I get, I'm realizing I don't always. Well, in certain things, if I care about it, I want to be a D. And if I don't, which is why I think I've struggled with my business in my past, because it's like, I don't really want to run a business. Like,
oh my gosh, so much.
Not,
see, I don't want to run the business because I don't have the green, the detail part.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy that stuff at all.
Yeah.
So that's why that's so hard. If all I could do was have fun and speak and train people.
Yeah. Boom, girl.
Which is why I like network marketing.
Yes.
Because I don't have to do all that other stuff.
Yes.
I can just go have fun. Be my strong, happy self. Yes. And they pay me to do that.
And I get paid.
And I love it.
Yes.
And if I don't want to work, I still get paid.
Yes.
Because of all the other work I already did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why it's harder. That's why Soul Sister's been harder for me.
Yeah.
I think it's just because it's so many more moving parts.
Why did you start it?
I didn't start it. Soul Sister Networking was birthed out of a study we did.
Okay.
And the study was a study from T.D. Jakes called SOAR. And he's got an interview with Stephen Furtick on the book, and it's phenomenal. And Samantha, if you've never watched it, I'm going to send it to you.
Please do. It's
an hour and a half, which is way too much detail for this girl. But I took 5 pages of notes, and I don't take notes. I'm not a note taker. I'm a listener, absorber, and I'm going to get a couple nuggets, and I might write those down. I took 5 pages of notes. It was so powerful. It blew me out of my chair. And so he had a book that went with it and a study guide that went with it. So I did a whole Bible study on the book SOAR, Building Your Vision from the Ground Up. Phenomenal. And through that, I got to know a girl named Sherry Gilly really well. And I was doing a lot of networking events, and she was constantly asking me for advice on how to run her network marketing company, which is a different one. And I'm like, you've got to network with people. And we would talk every week about how we were networking, but we had to be careful of talking about our faith. And that not everybody wanted to hear about that. And how could we keep it our businesses spiritually centered? And so it really was her idea in the beginning. She's like, we should have a networking group just like X, Y, and Z do, but it should be centered on keeping their businesses centered in faith, in their faith, whatever that is. And I was like, that's a good idea. So anyway, she kept kind of nudging me and working on me because she knew she wanted me to do it with her, but I know my bandwidth. And I was like, I don't know if I have the bandwidth to do anything else. So anyway, that kind of kept going, and she kept nudging me and nudging me and nudging me. And finally one day I was like, look, I'll do it, but here's my bandwidth. Here's what I can do and here's what I can't do. And so I was like, we'll see where it goes. We'll see what happens. And it's really been great. Like getting around a table with women of faith that pray over their businesses and want prayer for their businesses. And I've been teaching some of the stuff we talked about today to them so that they can start speaking people's languages so that they can be a light for God.
Did you learn anything today, Jeremy, that you hadn't known? Did anything rock your world?
I think it was near the end of the pit stop where you were talking about woo-woo people. And I just got a kick out of hearing woo-woo a lot. I don't know if that's a technical term.
It's not.
There's actually a strength in Strength Finders, and it's called a woo.
Oh.
And that's one of my top 5. That's my number 5, winning others over.
Winning others over.
Yeah, it's called a woo. So just saying. I'm validating that you're allowed to like that word.
Yes.
So you liked her talking about that, huh?
I don't know. There was a lot of woo-wooing going on.
I always do a lot of woo-wooing.
Yeah. I just think it would be helpful to know if it's a technical term or,
Samantha term.
Yeah.
We did I talk about 5 love languages a lot with marriage, because when we talk about marriage, because when we got married, we did a small group with all newlyweds except the kind of the leader of it, who they'd been married 10 years. And so we read the 5 love languages and love and respect. And it was so helpful, so good that to every newlywed, I'm like, screw all of these other things you're worried about.
Oh my
Read
gosh.
these books.
If I'd had that at the beginning, I think we got into that about halfway through the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, his number one's physical touch. No wonder.
Yep.
Like,
Most
really?
Most men, I would guess.
That's what see, I didn't understand that as a language.
Yeah.
I understand it as a need.
But
Yeah.
And it was a need I didn't have.
Yeah. and you could also be like, so what? You're not getting what you need. I'm not getting what I like.
Yeah.
Like, it's life versus I love this person.
Yeah.
I'm selfish by nature, but I want to be like God's using my marriage to make me less
I would
selfish.
buy him. I remember early on in our marriage, I mean, we were 16 when we met, but when we first got married, I remember buying him gifts all the time. And he'd be like, oh, thanks, whatever. And it didn't really, I wasn't getting the reaction that I wanted to.
Yes.
But if I kissed him, man, I got every reaction that I wanted
Yeah.
to. And it was, halfway through the marriage,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's why, like, I don't even have to buy him a birthday card. Like, he's just like, that's not his thing.
That's one thing that I love about our marriage is neither one of us
You
has
like that neither
gifts
of
as
us
a
have
love language.
gifts.
Unless it's shoes, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So we'll go to the grocery store and go to the card aisle on our anniversary or her birthday or whatever, and I'll pick out a card and I'll show it to her. This is the one I would get for you. And then we'll just put it back.
I love
Put it
that.
back.
Okay, totally gonna do that next
Yes,
time.
that's our love language.
Because he's like, do I need to get you a card? I'm like, nope.
No.
He's
Yeah.
like, shoes? Yep.
Yes.
You want me to pick them? Yep. Awesome.
You want him to pick them?
Oh, yeah. He's got great taste in high heels.
Really?
Yes. Very good taste.
Oh, interesting.
The higher, the better, too. I'm like, you would think my husband's shorter than me. He's like 5'3". And I'm like, you sure? And he was like, yep.
Wow.
Okay.
See, I've
So
picked out
interesting.
You're a guy.
one shirt for you,
Yeah.
and you loved it.
Which one was that?
I don't know. I think it was plaid.
I don't remember.
Made you look like a country girl.
Oh, that's trying to get me in that country girl mode.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that when I had the one time I've picked something out for you,
Good job, honey.
you loved it.
Yeah.
And you looked really good in it.
Thank you.
Just saying.
So that actually
I don't know
brings
if I
me-
could do shoes.
No. Oh, no. My feet are too rank. Words of affirmation when we were first married, below the radar. Like,
Yeah.
didn't even care because it was like, well, yeah, you're dating me. Like, of course you like me.
Do you
It's
think
all...
that like words of affirmation for some people aren't as important because we have an inner confidence?
Okay, so...
I always wonder that if that's why.
Okay, so good point. Early on in marriage, didn't care about words of affirmation. I know I'm great. You wouldn't be with me because we had a lot of conversations when we first got married that like, I know I'm great and you think you're great. And so if we're with each other, we must think each other's great because we think so
Right.
highly of ourselves.
Right.
So thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you, God.
Right.
Like, exactly, the inner confidence. So in the beginning, he used to sometimes say things and I was like, I
Doesn't
don't
mean-
care.
yeah.
But now after 11...
Just shut up.
Just shut up. Just go do the dishes. Acts of service, you know?
Acts of service.
But I was single, not for that long, relatively speaking. It felt very long, after college until we started dating a couple of years. And so I was living on my own, snow, having to shovel by myself. Like I was at a place where it was like, oh my gosh, to have someone like take care of me and do stuff for me. It was like, that is my acts of service.
For sure.
And that still is huge because, life. But then words of affirmation, no. And I had like all my positive women in my life and just was always being filled up. But now being at home, being in the stay-at-home mom mode for not as much the last year and a half. And now I'm getting lots of outside praise again. So I probably don't need it as much.
Yeah.
But for the 7 years I was just at home, I needed to hear more words of affirmation because I wasn't getting it
anywhere else.
And even if I had the internal
that's a good point.
confidence, I needed him to recognize
It needed to come
it
from somewhere.
because I can only fill this for so long.
Yeah.
But now that I'm back out and I'm getting it other places,
It's not as important.
It's not as important.
Yeah, that's
But
a good point.
I'm also using that though. You talked about
You're doing great, honey.
thank you, honey.
Yeah.
But it can't just be what's it called? Canned. But I mean, I still like it now.
I walked down the stairs. I'm like, tell me I'm pretty.
Tell me
He's
I'm-
like, you look good. I'm like, look up.
At least look at me.
He's like, just looking at my legs. He's like, you look good.
Oh,
nice. I like the shoes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I love it when you wear shorts. And I'm like, oh my God, seriously.
Yes, girl,
I'm like, look up here. And he's like, yep. And I'm like,
I know what you look
just
like.
so now I'm like, just tell me I'm pretty.
Just
He's like, you're pretty, honey.
Pretty.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's why it's funny you talked about not needing affirmation. I was really listening to that because I do need it right now because I'm not confident yet. Yeah. I was listening to it. I'm kind of processing myself is that I've needed lots of affirmation the last few months because I'm very insecure. I'm not like, I don't know who I am yet. So if I went and gave a talk, it's funny when you said that. If I was in the zone back in the Mary Kay days where like I gave this training, if I came off, same thing, I would have been like, I know that this is my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Actually at BRN recently, it was a few months ago, but I gave a talk. And in the beginning, I kind of said, I don't know what I said something to the effect of what someone heard was, I'm nervous. I don't think I'm going to do a good job. So afterwards, Jim came up to me and he said something. I mean, it was like a compliment, but it was basically like, I don't know why you didn't think you would do good. It was great or something. And I even had a physical like, oh, I know it was going to be good. Yeah. Like, this is my wheelhouse. Right, like, I love this. I'm like, oh, and then I was trying to think, what did I say? I think I kind of just meant the content or something. I didn't know. I don't know. Whatever I said, but it was that reaction of, oh no, I know I'm good.
No, I'm good.
But then with this, it's like, I see other people doing it. There's so many podcasts out there. I don't know what my vision is yet. So there's a lot of insecurity. So I kind of need to fill my cup up so to help me as I walk through it. I can keep up that energy. And then when the negativity comes, I can just be like kind of putting on my armor. Yeah. Both biblically and then through people. Like, okay, I gotta, just kind of build that up. And then knowing it'll come, I can get to the place of, it's almost like riding on others' belief in you until you have belief in yourself. Yeah. So I think that's why I need the affirmation. See, I'm a verbal processor. I need to have them pour their belief into me until I believe it in here. Yeah. Because I believe it in some areas. But in this area, it's still an insecure place.
I think it's important for us to recognize that too in others. Like, recognition is huge. Like somebody coined this and gave it to me. They're like, recognition is so big. You have to realize that like men die for it and babies cry for it.
Men die for it and babies cry for it.
They're like, that's how big recognition is. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Babies want to be known that their presence is there, right? Like men go into battle, for it. And I just think
and women suffer without it.
Yeah. We have to realize how big it is. And the problem with it is that we all receive it differently. So that recognition, like for some people within my work organizations, I can't recognize them publicly in front of everybody. That would destroy them. And then I need to do it privately. And so like even just recognizing that it even goes a step further than that. Like we're such complicated creatures on how we need to receive. And I think that's why this rule was so important to me, is that I need to figure out not only how they receive, but what makes them feel the best. Like telling me that my talk on Sunday was great. I know it was going to be good. I need critique. I need to know how to make it better.
Because your mission is for it to make an impact, not just entertain people.
And so she's like, no, I mean, it's fine. So we did a run through last week, and I went over by like 20 seconds or something like that. I was so mad at myself.
For 20 seconds.
For 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, because they told me, hard stop. And I was like, oh, I've gone over and over and over and over this, and I could not seem to get it to be at that mark. Unless I'm like literally just looking at my notes and reading from my notes the whole time. And I'm not going to do that at church. So anyway, but I'm not a perfectionist, but when it comes to speaking and training, I want it. I've seen how good it can be. And so it's like, I know where my peak is. I've seen the peak. And so if I'm not hitting that each time, I'm like super hard on myself. So I'm like, don't tell me how good it was. Tell me what I can do to get to the peak.
It's funny. I did a talk at Team Win the other day, and I was so excited to kind of start getting back, like, because I like doing that, but I don't know what my message is yet. So I did a training, or not a training, like a 20-minute talk. So it's kind of whatever the talk is. And I liked it, and I got good feedback afterwards, which made my little heart be like, thank you so much. And I was not feeling great about it. So I needed the affirmation to feel good. But because I am similar to you, I know it wasn't great.
Right.
And I want to take it to the next level.
So what can I do to do better?
So I'm kind of like asking like, okay, tell me the good stuff. Yes. First, fill me up. With
Let's
the
Oreo sandwich this.
Yes. Like, tell me it's amazing.
Tell me the good stuff. Give me some help. And then tell me I'm great again.
Yes, exactly. Like I need that sandwich. But yes, so I've been feeling like trying to describe to people like, how did it go? And I say, oh, it was okay. And they're, oh, I'm sure it was great. And da-da-da. Like if they weren't there and I'm like, I can tell I'm like, oh, you don't get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
like
don't.
It's that it wasn't as good as I know it could be. And I want to make it that way.
We can always do better.
So I'm working
We're
on that.
humans too. Like
Yeah.
it's never perfect. Like even when I've hit my peak training on stage, like I know when I've hit it.
Yeah.
I know when I'm like, I was in the groove, in mode. I killed it. I don't need anybody to tell me I did good.
Yeah.
I just killed that sucker.
You did. Yeah.
I actually posted a picture this morning on Instagram.
I saw it and it
Did
looked
you see
really
that?
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I was like, oh, that was a couple of years ago. But man, I was like on it.
Yeah.
But even when I was done with that, I remember thinking, okay, how can I do that better next time?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we're humans, right?
Yeah.
We're never good enough because we really aren't.
Yeah.
That's why we need a savior.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I always take it back to that. Like, that's why I do Soul Sisters, just so that I can do that. I can say, grab hands around the table and let's pray. And I don't have to worry about anybody being offended by it.
Yeah.
I think that's why I do love that part of Soul Sister networking.
Have you heard of Encouraging Networkers?
I have heard of
That's
it.
another networking group that I think is faith-based.
I think it's men and women.
Yeah, men and women.
Yeah, and I don't want, no offense, I don't want to mentor men.
It's funny.
That's okay. I don't want you to mentor me.
Dang. I'm going to leave
beat
All
you
the
to
men
it.
in my team, I'm like, call my husband.
Yeah.
Like that's outside of my comfort zone.
Oh, yeah.
It's outside of my zone. I don't do it well. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
I mean, when I saw that come up online, I was like, oh, she did it.
Doing it. Well, and that's why another thing is that people have
so
said,
excited
oh my
for you.
gosh, I'm so excited for you. You said you were going to do a podcast and you did it. But the real truth and what I feel inside is that when I was pregnant with Riley, which was 9 years ago, I started telling all the pregnancy stories because I got constipated on the day I was supposed to get my ultrasound and all the craziness that ensued from there. So for 9 years, I've been telling all these stories. And so back then it was, and that's when blogs were really popular. It was, you need to have a blog. So I made a Facebook page called Make Believe Blog because it was like I didn't want to do a real blog, so that was my little. And I had a few posts, which actually looking back, I'm like, God, they were really funny, but I didn't feel it at the time, and I couldn't move forward with it, whether it was insecurity, but I also think it really came down to it wasn't my medium to sit by myself at a computer and write I'm not.
No, I'm with you. I've been told that so many times, like, why don't you write blogs? You meet so many interesting people. You've done so much in your career. You've got so much you could tell people. And I'm like, I don't want to sit up behind a computer and type. Did I not tell you I don't like details?
You just gave me an idea. So part of the whole net marketing with all this is that like, okay, we need a video eventually and we need to do this and I need a blog. I'm actually just thinking I need to find someone who likes to write, to listen to an episode and they blog about it.
Yeah, let them. Why not?
Because I don't like, that's the part I'm like, to have to go back and do that.
No.
Shoot, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that either.
So yeah, that's, so what I've told people is that, yes, I'm proud like that I'm actually following through with it. Jeremy's, if he was not on board, we wouldn't be moving forward with it. Having Matt being willing to give me a little money, it's not a ton, but if it pays for the running of it, it's like,
is that how that works? Oh,
yes.
good.
I sarcastically asked him to be my podcast sponsor, but he was like, yeah. And I didn't even know what that means. Like I was literally just being sarcastic. 5% serious because I know that it's a thing, but I don't know how it's thing. Yeah. And so
it costs money to run a podcast. I don't know.
Yes. Well, the equipment and then to host it and stuff. I mean, it's not a ton, but
but it's something.
You can do it for free, but there are limitations.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, like
to what you can do, how many episodes you can have, what size or length you can do. So
so and so for me, kind of because I know the way mine works,
we want no limitations.
We want no limitations, and it's not time sensitive. It's not like tune in because we're talking about current events and you're not like, this is the kind of thing where people are going to say, oh, I found it. I'm going to listen to the first episode and start from the beginning.
Yes.
And so, that you have to pay to have it hosted and stuff like that. But it's like, $25 a month and they have a website, all that kind of stuff.
Money, yeah.
And so
I'm finding that out. I'm like, really? It costs money to like have a membership website.
Yes.
I'm like, crap.
Yes. All this stuff is like,
I'm like,
shoot.
it's like $40 a month. I'm like,
yes.
Like, we're not even like trying to get money from people really yet. Like,
I know.
This is going to get us in the hole quickly.
Well, and that's what's so hard about it. Like,
maybe we shouldn't have websites. That's what I told her.
Well, that's why so many people do Facebook pages, though.
I was like, well, do we even need a website? She goes, yeah, if they're going to sign up to be members. And I'm like, yeah. See, I'm like, no, we don't need any of that. But she likes the details of that. So I'm like, well, now why did you say yes?
To the podcast?
Yeah. What intrigued you?
I listened to him. Seemed like... So, I like to make things.
Okay.
I like to make things. I like to create things. And this is a thought that I was having earlier when you guys were talking too. But this is just something else that I can try. I feel like I'm not really good at anything, but I'm sort of good at a lot of things, you know? And this is just another thing that I think would challenge me. And because I listen to podcasts, I'm like, how hard could it be? You know, let's do it. Why not? And it interested me in that respect. But now, you know, I'm learning how to edit sound. I'm learning how to set up microphones and do all this stuff. And it's cool. That's fun, learning something new. And what I said about making stuff, and something you guys were talking about earlier, was the love languages and how you need somebody, or maybe you don't need somebody to be like, that was great, you want to hear. I'm the type of personality that if I make something, I want to hear how great it is, you know? And then the train of thought that I had went down the road of God probably wants to hear how great the things he created is.
Hello, worship.
And then took me down the road of, well, then he's speaking all of the love languages to everybody.
He created them.
So whatever love language you speak is probably how you need to be praising him.
That's right. That's right.
Acts of service.
Yep.
Physical touch. I don't know how that one works out, but
loving be in the hands of feet.
I was going to say,
oh, true, yeah.
It's called procreation. I was having this conversation with my 13-year-old. I was like, she goes, well, why would boys think about that like that when they know that they're not going to do that for a long time? I'm like, sweetie, our bodies were created to procreate. Like, that's what it's designed to do.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, okay. And I said, boys were given a little more of that one
to make sure it happens.
Because the girls aren't, always up for it.
That urge hits a little earlier for the boys.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
She's figuring that out now. She's like, really? They care about that?
Oh my gosh. It wasn't. I remember I had a conversation with a guy.
Don't care about much else now.
And when I was in, first I want to say with Jeremy, thank you for sharing all that, honey. I liked hearing that. It's funny. Side note, love languages. When we first got married, because words of affirmation, he would make stuff. He's so good at making stuff like this now is in that category because it's any type of creation. He likes creating, but like it's like he's very construction, handy, things like that. So he used to do projects and he'd be like, do you want to come see it? And I'd literally be like,
no,
like, or I'd go look and I'd be like,
my husband will build bicycles from like, to cycle, like for competition. He likes to build them or he likes to build guns. Like he likes to build that stuff.
Yeah.
So he's like, you want to see the gun I just built? I'm like,
no,
I really don't. And he's like, now I used to say that. Now I'm like, yes, honey, I would love to see it.
Yes,
I would love,
exactly.
But he had to tell me that because I used to say, why do you care if I go out? That's your project out in the garage. Why do I need to go see it? And he finally, I think because of reading the book.
This is my tell me I'm pretty.
Yes.
I was like,
yes.
Just tell me you like it.
Just buy in.
Just tell me you like. Come
like,
look at it.
Do you want me to build you a bicycle too? I'm like,
no.
I'll never ride it. He's like, but I could build it for you. And I'm like, I'm not going to race, honey. Unless it's 71 degrees outside with a little wind.
Right, yeah.
But they need that. They really do need that when it comes to something that they're passionate about. Now I know better. Yes. Now I'm like, yes, honey, I cleaned the garage. You want to come see it? And I'm like,
do.
Yes.
I'd love to.
I know. Yeah. Or if I tell him a God story, which, he doesn't necessarily want to hear, but I'm like, I'm going to tell you a story and you need to act super interested. Yes. He's a red-green.
I have to see. So Jeremy and I,
he's Christmas. Yes. He is strong and confident and he's an air traffic controller.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So and when he asks me to do something, this is how it goes. He says, because he does all the laundry in the house. That's just his thing. Whatever. I'll let it always be his thing. Right. I'm not an idiot. So
he can come do ours too.
He doesn't know. It's not that he likes doing it. He just does it. So I just let him.
Yeah.
And so he told me, he's like, honey, could you, because if you were asking Jeremy to switch the loads of laundry, you'd say, hey, could you do some laundry today, or could you switch the loads?
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that like a normal thing?
I need you to switch I would say, because I know, can you please switch the loads of laundry while I'm gone?
Please.
Absolutely. Okay. That's not what he does. He says, hey, honey, can you take the clothes that are in the dryer and put them in the basket, and then take the clothes from the washer and put them in the dryer, and then start a new load, and bring the clothes from the basket into the bedroom and put them on the bed?
Too much information.
That's a lot of steps. Jeez.
But that's how in his work world, everything has a pattern and steps, and it's a puzzle piece of how everything works together. That's how his brain rolls. And I'm like,
funny.
You mean you'd like me to run some loads of laundry today? And he's like,
I kind of know how to do the laundry.
Or last night I was ordering a power cord for my daughter's Chromebook because she lost it again, and this time she's paying for it. But
yes.
So I was like, oh, I'll just order a new one on Amazon. And so I start looking at them on Amazon, and I was like, okay, there's some cheap ones, expensive ones. And so I'm reading I'm doing the work here. Yeah. I'm reading the reviews. They're cheap for a reason. And so he's like, don't order it yet. You don't even know which one to order her. And I was like, what do you mean I don't know which one to order her? He's like, you need to get the model and make of the laptop. And I'm like, now he's downstairs and I'm upstairs. So I'm texting him like, I'm not an idiot. I know to look for the model number on the back of but his brain is just like,
that's step one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't need to remember to say step one. I know step one. Yeah. So I'm like, okay.
That was assumed.
Acer charger cord. Now look for the brand. Now look for the model.
Yeah.
And then and then he's like, did you look at the reviews? Cause so-and-so did it. And I'm like, yep. I did. I just didn't need to give him, like, he wanted to know that I was doing all this. I'm like, it's a $30 power cord. But his brain just like, everything's in steps. Everything's in a system. It's so funny. But I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
So it works because I allow him. Now, every now and again, I'm like, you're making me feel like an idiot, so you need to stop. And he's like...
But when you understand that, you understand why, like, that his intention isn't to make you feel... It's his style, so then you can address that.
So I'm like, soften the delivery, because right now I'm strong, and he can speak. We speak strong to each other all the time. I'm like, but when you start to make me feel like I don't know what I'm doing, that's when you have to, like, back behind the curtain a little bit.
It's definitely been helpful having the personality styles with marriage. Kind of gives us some good insight. So thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming, Kristy. This was great. Thanks for sticking around a little longer so we could have a little more conversation. And I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
And that's a wrap for now.
Thanks for listening to Flushing It Out with Samantha Spittle. Music provided by twinmusicom.org. Song titled Night at the Dance Hall. Sound editing by me, Jeremy Spittle. A special thanks to our studio sponsor, M&M Exteriors. Visit their website at mmexteriors.com for all of your roofing, siding, and gutter needs in the Northern Virginia area. Visit our website at flushingitout.com and be sure to subscribe. This has been a Spitfire production.
That was the greatest thing I've ever heard.